I'm Brandon.
And I'm Jesse.
We're Cannabis School. Having cannabis-infused conversations
with everyday people,
cannabis companies,
celebrities,
and your mom.
Welcome to the Sesh. Cool thing, I'm working with this functional medicine clinic, dude, and they had this awesome thing there. Like, they've got everything from this huge hyperbaric chamber, if you want to be able to do that, red light therapy, ketamine treatments, IV treatments.
You can pass it. It's a lot.
No?
It's a lot.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a lot.
Like, I didn't take a big enough breath.
No, it's just a big ass hit on there. So you're good. Yeah, this piece has some quite the hits it can take.
Well, they had this cool thing called Brain Tap. You ever heard of that?
Mm-mm.
Oh, dude, it's fucking cool. You would love it. It literally feels like a mushroom trip.
Okay. And wait, where'd you get
You have headphones
Okay.
and a visor, and the visor has light, and they have light going through your ears too.
Mhm.
And they use it where there'll be a guided one,
Mhm.
and it will tell you through it, but it will be saying almost subliminal messages on the side. And dude, and within 5 minutes, you don't feel your body anymore.
This is without drugs?
This is without drugs.
Oh, I need to buy that sucker.
Dude, it is
'Cause
amazing.
I cannot even conceptualize how somebody can be in a hypnotic state without
Yeah.
drugs. 'Cause
Oh,
I'm just
dude.
not even like,
Oh.
you're going to tell me all these subliminal. I'm thinking about my business, guys.
Have you?
Yeah, I bet.
So,
bet.
the only time I've ever experienced anything like that without drugs,
Uh-huh.
Wim Hof breathing.
When you said that, I was going to say I've done it with breathing, but still not as intense.
Yeah,
I've
But
done
that's
that before
30
too.
minutes straight
Oh.
that I was doing it. And I'm like,
Mine was like a
Yeah,
week,
your hands
several
all-
weeks in a row that I had gotten to it, and it was in my holding breath state, and I had got to 4 minutes of holding my breath.
holy shit.
Yeah. And in that time, every fiber of my being I felt like I was so high. I felt tingling through everything. And it was the most incredible experience. And I was like, this is just from breathing.
Dude, yeah, that's it. That one time I was over at Adam's house and we did this guided breathing, right?
Uh-huh.
And dude, by the time this is what I felt like. In the middle, I was floating up like that chick in Stranger Things, right? I'm
Yeah.
like floating into the sky, and everything was white. There was no seams. It was just white.
Yeah.
And I'm floating up, and then this guy goes, "And let out your roar," and he hits this gong, and the whole sky just went poof, like rainbow shit everywhere. And I was like, what the fuck? And I'm floating. And when I came out of it, dude, I was fucking bawling. I didn't even know that. And Adam was bawling, and this other dude, he was bawling. Like, I was just like, what the fuck? I couldn't even realize it. Like, it was just gone to another dimension.
I did one with a lady in Orem, and she had a gong too, and she's like, scream, and then she's like, you won't even be able to hear yourself scream.
No.
This gong's so fucking loud. And at the end, one girl was sharing her experience and in tears. No. First one, she's like, that was the most beautiful experience. Like, it was orgasmic for me. And then the lady next to her, she's like crying. She's like, man, how are you having that experience?
Dude, that'd be awesome, right?
You're
That's
having
crazy.
an orgasm.
Yeah.
The states that you can get in. I do breath work while I'm in the ice bath.
Oh, yeah.
I'll do a minute of just normal breathing and then 2 minutes of hyperventilating and then hold my breath. And it makes it actually the whole Wim Hof thing is how to control your body temperature.
Yeah. Well, I've seen what got me into trying it was I started watching these videos. It was popping up, and it was all this stuff on Wim Hof.
Mm-hmm.
And it was Wim Hof out sleeping in snow in shorts and regulating his body temperature through the night just from the breathing that he does. Him getting injected with an actual disease or illness, them watching it go into his body, and then him using blood, like his breathing, to fight it off and basically kill or remove that. And I was like, this is incredible. And the fact that he could teach that.
Yeah, that was it. So then they're like, okay, you're just a fucking weirdo.
Yep.
Like, nobody else. That's just, you're an anomaly. And then he took like a dozen people hiking up or Mount Kilimanjaro in their shorts, taught them
how to
and
do
they also
the same
taught them
thing.
to resist that bacteria
Yeah.
whenever they were injected.
And so
That's fucking nuts.
that was when it was like, okay, cool. Well, then there's something maybe that I could do. And I still haven't done it regularly continuing now. But like back then, I did it for several weeks, and I got to that point and I was like, holy cow.
It's powerful stuff.
Yeah.
It's just not as easy as eating mushrooms.
Yeah.
I know, right?
I've noticed
Yeah.
that's helped me a lot. I have been doing quite a bit of microdosing this last month.
Uh-huh.
So, yeah, it's been good.
Yeah, it's been really good. Oh, let's I'm feeling it now.
Yeah,
That's
this is
really
a
nice.
great way to start.
Yeah,
Hey,
Blue City Diesel.
welcome to the Sesh.
Yeah. Hey, everybody. And we have a wonderful friend of ours, Bennett Maxwell. Super cool guy. We'll get into everything about him. Man, dude, thank you for coming.
Dude, thanks for the invite. This is long overdue because last time,
Yeah,
a
we were
year
gonna
and a
do it.
half
We
ago,
got way too high.
we got way too high before it even started, and then we spent 2 hours at Smith's buying snacks.
Before we ever even got to set up, record, or do anything. It was, it was
we got
great.
back and we were just too high. But it's kind of good though because so much has changed.
Oh, yeah.
We have this brand new episodes that come out on Thursdays now, and the audience has absolutely loved it. They have gone nuts for it. Our numbers are showing it, and we're seeing so much more traffic from it. So we just keep creating this. But man, the coolest thing is knowing this guy. So how we met was we were looking for companies to sponsor the podcast, and I saw a cookie company, and I was high
about that.
and I said, you know what, I'm going to reach out to them. And I reach out, and their marketing girl's like, yeah, you wants to talk to you. And we're like, oh, cool. And we started talking, and then we just find out that we're both into cannabis. And, nothing materialized out of this sponsorship thing. But what
Just
did
a good
materialize,
friendship.
yeah, an amazing
Yeah,
friendship.
we don't have money.
Well, I mean,
okay. We don't either.
but that's the thing, though. It doesn't even matter because, it was so much cooler because we just thought, cookies and cannabis, that meshes. Now you're everywhere, right? I mean, how many, where are you? Where, like,
we are in 20-something states. I was trying
cool.
to count. And I think anyways, we got 2 more states opening this month. So
that's awesome.
it's going.
exciting.
Yeah, we're at 70-something.
That's great. That's fantastic.
Congrats,
and it
man.
wasn't there before. When we first met, it was like,
Yeah, I mean, we went from 7 to 70 in a year.
that's
So
that's
huge.
nuts.
It's
That's
it has
crazy.
been nuts. And these are Dirty Dough's a cookie franchise. So these are brick and mortar stores or food trucks or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
So
crazy.
that's amazing.
Most people still know about what Dirty Dough is, but that's what we're trying to create.
Yeah. Well, I mean, definitely we'll have to get like a list of those places and put them up for everybody around here so you guys can go enjoy this man's cookies. Wow, that sounded bad. Go get this man's cookies.
Go eat his cookies.
Kind of cradle him.
I know. Well, it was right before this. Jesse, for the first time, asked if he could put some of my nuts in his mouth.
Yeah, I
and-
was over there. He has these pistachios. I'm like, hey man, I've never asked this of you, but let me grab some of your nuts.
Sorry for breaking up that bromance. when I arrived.
Well,
Jesse's washing
It's
his
all right.
hands. I was like, "What are you doing over there, man?"
they're a
I'm
little
washing
salty.
them with rubbing alcohol. Like, I'm gonna put this in my eyes
I don't know
too.
if it'll come
I want to
off.
forget that. That last strain just took me to a different place.
Yeah.
No, but dude, one of the coolest things about you is, I think it's awesome what you built. It's super cool, and where you came from, and knowing your past and where you where it originated from, like all of this about you. But I wanted to dig in more into what normally you don't get asked on other podcasts, because it's all about like your journey and your success and everything like that with it. But man, there's so much more to you, like a really cool part that I don't think people get to know at all.
Now's the time because I'm high. So.
Yeah, dude,
already?
it's a nice
Just
strain,
that-
dude.
I mean, that was a big hit. I give you that.
Well, I tried it. I'm like, this thing's not clearing, and I just kept
Do you
going.
want another? Are you at a good? I don't
I
know
think
your
he's okay
dosing
for right
and how
now.
you. All right.
Okay, I'll just.
I'm
you.
giving it a
Yes,
chance,
Dad.
dude. Don't
I'm
worry.
good then. If Daddy says okay. You are my daddy when it comes to cannabis. Like,
Well,
I'm
dude, just you're good
You
right
taught
now.
me
I can see you right now, dude. I see the
Yeah.
gloss going over the
Yeah,
end.
no, I'm
and,
high.
and to let you know, I'm like, dude, I just came from a whole week of being off cannabis. I was having debilitating panic attacks for no reason. Things are going great, and just my body dealing with shit and bringing it to the forefront. As you know, like
Yep.
I mean, you're big into mental health, and that just it was harsh. So I was really nervous today about trying any.
But it's so far so good.
Oh, dude, I'm feeling great. This is the best I've felt in all week. But, you grew up here in Utah
Mhm.
and you grew up in the culture, but you had things happen to you when you were a kid that kind of steered you towards where you are now. Where do you think that point was?
As far as leaving the religion and mindset,
No, I'm talking like when you were a kid, because I know that came. But when you were a kid and all the things that you did during that time kind of shaped you to where I think you are today.
I mean, on the, what aspect of our life? Business aspect?
No.
Not even that.
I want to
Just
talk
life.
about your
Just
life,
life.
man.
Yeah.
So like,
Man, I haven't thought about that. I'm like, well, here's my answer about what drove me to be a salesperson and entrepreneur. And here's my answer on that.
yeah, no,
Okay, just life.
Like life, man. Like you were a kid. Your parents went through a divorce. How old were you when you were that age?
Maybe 8.
Okay.
Yeah. So, yeah, I think I could start thinking about that a little bit more. Who am I and why am I that way? I'm pretty, and it's funny because now I'm actually trying to reverse that quality. Very goal oriented and driven, and like I need to achieve more. Which on the outside, it's like, oh, that's awesome because straight A student and all state sports and scholarships to college and business success. But it on the flip side, and why I'm trying to reverse it is I'm like that it's just not fulfilling because you just want more and then never is enough. So I'm trying to kind of reverse that. I think I grew up with that. It was, parents got divorced, one of 9 kids, and I was number 7. I think your parents kind of stopped caring after maybe 4 or 5.
Yeah. Paying as much attention.
Well, and single mom, she's also working. So like I'm waking up in elementary, waking up my little brothers, making us eggs, and then going and walking to the neighbor's house to go get a ride, So because of that, it was just like, if you want something done, just go get it. You want money, go sell shaved ice, go sell snow shovels door to door, lawn aeration. Like I was kind of doing it all. What is that?
So
These are amazing.
Flint mints.
Okay.
So these ones actually help with dry mouth.
I should have asked what it was. I mean, I should have let you answer before I put it in my mouth. I'm
We
like,
reached out to them. We're like, hey, because
I have way too much trust.
It's
no.
not drugs. You're good.
No, dude, no worries. But that would be the most expensive drug dispenser I've ever seen. You're just like, yeah, we bought like 15 million of these just to try out. But these are pretty cool. I saw them advertising for, Brandon says it best, right? What they're
They're dick sucking mints.
yeah,
is what
like every commercial, it's a girl putting her
women
mouth.
drooling or
Yeah,
something. You're
like
all
it's
right.
going to be the sloppiest blowjob of your life, right? So it's just like, it just, they have these like,
Don't love it till you try it.
but I was thinking like they have on their website, they're like, it's good for cannabis. And I was like, man, they should definitely be in front of our audience because they're super tasty and they help with dry mouth instead of
And I
just
have
sucking
it.
back water.
And the dose on them is usually 3 mints. And that's one.
And they have different strengths, but this
Yeah.
one's 250
And a ton of flavors. And
There's good.
and they're really nice. But anyways, so it's not drugs, but yeah, it's exactly like your whole paradigm of being a kid is no longer being a kid now. It's sharing the responsibility of helping to raise kids and help out with the house and everything like that because you had to grow up really fast.
Yeah. So the pro to that was just like, you can do whatever you want to do. Like, you don't need anybody else. And that's very, very helpful. And I do my best to teach my kids that, like, hey, daddy, can I go pet that dog? I don't know. Go ask,
Yeah.
and it's like teaching them because I think that is very empowering. But at the same time, the way I guess I'm trying to parent versus how I was parented or the lack thereof, was I felt like I needed to do that to survive. Where with my kids, it's like, no, you are safe. I have you. That's my job.
you can be your kid.
But you could go play and stuff. But you can also go learn that if you want stuff, you can have it if you just freaking ask. Like last time we went on the plane, she's like, can I go see the captain? I'm like, if you want, it's up to you.
You just got to ask.
She goes up there and then she's gone for a few minutes. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to go follow her. I mean, I've seen she's in the captain's chair with the captain's hat. She's 6 years old. She did it by herself. And then Lila's right behind her, 4 years old, 5 years old, whatever. And then the same thing. And she goes and asks. And so that it is very cool that I can look back and what I learned. And it's like, there's good and bad to everything, just perspective. But now how can I enhance the good and mitigate the bad as I parent? And I love parenting.
Yeah, you do.
I love trying to figure it out. And
following you on social
I love
media,
it.
it's not. And I'll call a spade a spade. You usually see these like people that will put out their life on social, and it's such a fabricated bullshit story but you feel that with yours, like it's genuine. You really focus to have quality time with your kids, and you make sure that you have that.
Oh, every day. There's no days that it's not a daddy-daughter date. Even my son still says daddy-daughter dates because he doesn't get it.
Yeah, that's cool.
Last night we went to Macy's, and I'm like, and it was just us. I said, this is boys' night, okay? If you want this, this is boys' night. So we had our first boys' night without him calling it daddy-daughter night. No, but that is a big passion of mine.
And that,
sure.
does that come from your childhood?
Yeah, I mean, how do you, like, thinking of legacy and what you leave behind? It's your kids for me. You know, it's like that's what I'm leaving behind. And you can go make a bunch of money and people will remember you till 2 days after you're dead, right?
Yeah.
And with that money you can make an impact, how, I don't know, buying people stuff, giving them food, home. But I don't even think that is really helping. I think it's a philosophy that needs to be spread about, and mindset and perspective. That's why you have suicide rates in Kenya 1/3 of the United States.
That's
because
crazy.
It's a different mindset, and they're fine with the life that they have. Well, we're not fine, and so I'm just like, more money. If we gave Kenyans more money, they're just going to end up like us, and it's actually not helping. So what does
equate to happiness? Yeah.
I think it's, again, philosophy, and how can I best spread my philosophy? Well, I got these 3 little creatures. I can start with them. So yeah, I don't know. My belief on everything is that we're not in control of anything. So it will ultimately come down to, like, I think it's luck, like 1,000%. It's just, I got dealt these genetics in this environment and I responded to it the way that I responded it to. So I can't really pinpoint why I value something more than something else. Well, I don't think anybody can. So that's a little preference, but everything that's happened, it allows me to then look back with gratitude and, like, that happened because it happened and nothing else could have happened. Like, from a physical atomic standpoint, if the universe was in the same state, the same
reality would have
happened.
Come. Yeah.
So it's a mindset that's really helped me. And that is something that I'd like to talk about.
That's cool.
Especially with my kids.
Yeah, because I mean, you're very evident, and that's great because you give them that. You actually have an impact when you are involved parenting. You actually have an impact on the future because you're helping to spread that mindset, that philosophy. Because it's really easy to get distracted right now, and as you worked hard your whole life, you always strive for success. You hit all that success, and something we talked about here. You had a company in California. You sold that. You come into money. What does that do to you?
That was the best thing for me because I realized, this is my realization. I was 310 pounds. I was not fighting with my wife. So to me, we have a perfect marriage, right? To her, we're roommates. My dumbass doesn't even freaking realize it. So I don't even have a good relationship with my wife, and I'm too dumb to even realize it. And I don't have a great relationship really with anybody, especially myself and my health, because money. Once I achieve XYZ, then the rest of my life is solved and I could then focus on my health and relationships. So that was $1 million. Wanted $1 million net worth. And I hit that and it feels great. Check the bank account. Cool. And then a few days goes by, a few weeks goes by, and I reversed to those same habits. And at the same time, I was watching Billions on Amazon Prime.
Oh yeah, dude, that's a good show.
So I noticed I had $1 million goal before I was 30, hit it, and within a week or so, that's not enough. Like, it doesn't feel different.
Where's your next goal? Yeah.
I need more. I need 5 million now.
Yeah.
Because with 5 million at a 5% interest at an annuity, then I could take it,
Yeah.
But the point is, it's just the next goal. And Bobby Axelrod was a billionaire, and this is a fictional character, but still hit me.
Yeah.
And he hit a $10 billion net worth. And you know what he did? He felt unfulfilled and he did an ayahuasca retreat.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, so whether it's 1 million, I think the pattern is I'm going to do the same thing till I get to Bobby Axelrod. And he still hasn't achieved it. So my goal is wrong. So coming and getting some money allowed me to go through what I say is my midlife crisis, but I was only 28. And it started me down a mental health journey. I started seeing a therapist. I started trying to understand thoughts and consciousness and purpose and meaning. And then that led me to create my own mission statement for my personal life, which and then was adopted by my company. And then now it's like, I know what I'm doing. I know what I want, and I know how I'm achieving in that. And yeah, you can make tweaks there, here and there. But I ran the first 28 years of my life of, well, I want more money because with more money, I could do things. And that was just like super superficial.
So it's not that way then?
No. So what I narrowed it down to is like, well, it's just about being happy, right? And then thinking about it more, it's like, well, no, not happiness, because if you're not happy every day, which is impossible to be happy every day, then you're going to get down on yourself because now you're not achieving your mission or your goal. And, okay, so but maybe joy, because you could, a joyful life with up and downs. Okay, so joy. So can you smoke weed and, down by the van and that's all you need? Well, there's nothing wrong with that. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. Someone chose to do that, but I'm like, but why wouldn't I do that? Like that would just not give me joy.
You wouldn't feel fulfilled
because of that. And that's where the second word came in, fulfillment. And then it's like, okay, as humans, we need progress. That's where fulfillment comes from. So doing nothing, even if you're in a happy state of mind at the time, is not going to lead to a fulfilled life. So I narrowed it down to finding joy and fulfillment. And then I threw in despite life's dirtiness, because my company's Dirty Dough. But it's don't wait to sell your solar company to find joy and fulfillment, because I was waiting. I was waiting for something to happen.
You have to hit a goal to get that happiness.
Yes.
Happiness will come once I achieve X, Y, Z.
Yep. So it's have it now and stop delayed gratification shit.
Yeah.
Dude, doesn't matter if you're happy right now, just keep the commandments, follow my church, and then you'll be rewarded in heaven. And you're like, I don't want to wait that long.
I don't want to wait that long.
Especially when there's no guarantee that if I pay you.
Well, it's living for tomorrow. It's living for a future of some other time instead of like.
Well, it's living for somebody else. Yeah. And that's the problem. It's when we live for somebody else.
Too much.
And not for... you'll be good.
We'll give you CBD and lemon
no
juice.
worries, dude. You'll be good. But it definitely is when you mention that, because I've heard so many different people where money absolutely destroyed their lives. It just totally fucked them up. But I love that perspective that you have, because you're like, I got to keep going. And you get there and you're like, cool, check the bank account. Because I've heard of that, where you come into money, you worked hard, you get it. And then after you're like, so what?
Yeah. And here's the thing. It's not money. It's just any goal. How did you two feel if you thought that you had, if you could imagine, hey, we're going to start a cannabis podcast and it's going to be listened to all over the world. Like that thought in your mind, how did you think you were going to feel? Probably like, that's it. That's all I ever need in life is to have one of the top podcasts. You're here now.
Yeah.
And does it feel that good?
It just feels like any other day.
Like before.
Yeah.
So you don't have to get $1 million.
Yeah.
Just apply it to any goal you've ever set in your life that you've achieved and say, how did I think I was going to feel? And how long did I think I was going to feel that? Look back, see that it was empty. And you're like, $1 million it's the exact same thing. The exact same thing. It's just a different goal being achieved. Yeah. But it's just, that's how we are as humans. You have to go back to homeostasis to be in survival mode, because I need to go hunt, I need to go forage, I need to protect myself. So it's your dopamine gets reset so freaking quickly. Like it's just gone. It comes and it's gone. So that way you can get the next dopamine hit, from smelling a flower and being near berries. Like that's kind of more human evolution, but that's how I feel. That's why we're wired that way.
That's incredible. Was that insights that have just come since doing therapy and this?
Podcasts.
Okay.
Just
did you start plant medicine in that journey, or was plant medicine something you had introduced prior to your sales of the solar company?
It started shortly after that. So now I have my mission statement. Now what do I do with this? Well, now I need to create my companies.
What's your mission statement?
Finding joy and fulfillment despite life's dirtiness.
Okay.
And then I put in myself and others. Yeah. Myself has to come first, and then the other people. Okay, now I need to do my company's mission statement, and my business coach is like, you idiot, that is your company's mission statement, because you are your company. So like, okay, cool. Now how am I going to do that? And okay, if it's joy and fulfillment, how do you give more joy and fulfillment? I kind of already explained a little. It's philosophy, in my opinion. What's philosophy? That's mindset. What's mindset? Mental health. It's just people are like, oh, mental health, what? Mindset, cool, but whatever. It's the same damn thing. So mental health, that's what I wanted to focus on. So how do I now incorporate that into the business? And I was talking with a buddy, and he goes, you have to go do mushrooms. Because it's like, I don't know how I want to attach this. And he goes, you have to do mushrooms. I was like, I don't do drugs. You know?
Yeah.
I'm not a druggie. And because I'd never even heard what mushrooms were except for in high school.
When everyone has the stigma that
heroin, meth, mushrooms, LSD,
all
cocaine, boom, one
mushroom,
baggage, don't
marijuana.
touch it, slippery slope.
Yep.
But yeah, so it led me to that. And then getting into psychedelics has furthered all of that, because it's to analyze consciousness and your thoughts and all, like, you can do it in normal states, but it's hard. Like, so I can walk here or I can drive here. Like, I use a tool to be more efficient. And that's how I view psychedelics. It's a tool to be more efficient in achieving, depending on what your goals are. But man, psychedelics are freaking awesome, because this is where I explore all of these different topics that really fascinate me.
That's cool. And cannabis came in around about the same time.
Maybe a year before, just because I was in California.
Yeah.
It was legal. And I didn't have any really stigmas. I mean, other than growing up religious, I was like, oh, cannabis is low key on the drug scale.
Oh,
so I was doing
nice.
cannabis for about a year.
Okay.
That's
And
wild.
yeah, and that kind of helped graduate everything else.
Yeah. Now I get to the point that, like, even as I'm like, it doesn't matter. I can get as high as my body will handle, and I'm fine. Like, I'm comfortable enough with hell that I've gone through with mushrooms that I'm just like, they're thoughts, and that's what they are, and they'll go away.
This experience will pass. Yeah.
Yeah. So and now that does make me a lot more open to kind of everything.
That's cool.
Because I'm like, I know I can handle it, and I also trust my ability in controlling myself.
Totally. Yeah.
Out of all those like plant medicines that you've gone through, have you found one that has been more beneficial or more like impactful in your journey?
Mushrooms. Because
Okay.
mushrooms were the first, taking a 6-gram mushroom trip after several other trips that were all terrible. Terrible meaning not positive emotions, right? Not terrible in the fact that I'm telling you this changed my life.
Yeah.
I wanted to kill myself. Like, legitimately, I'm like, if there's a knife right here, I'm going to stab myself, because I don't know who I am. I don't know what I want. My life is worthless, or that, like,
You
just
felt
deep
meaningless.
despair, meaningless. Like, I'd never felt like that. So one, that was amazing, because I get that that's real. Where before, even before I started seeing a therapist, like, I'm talking 3 years ago, I thought anxiety, depression, and headaches were in your mind. Because I don't get headaches.
Wow.
So like, oh, that's just
Yeah.
think happy thoughts. Like, just, that's, for whatever reason, that was my thought process. So it's definitely changed a ton.
Wow.
And then being fascinated. So now I could empathize with other people. And then it also fascinated that, why is that desire in there? I have to go figure that out.
Yeah.
I have to go do 8 grams now, to show that I've conquered it. But because they've been the most negative experiences of my life, I've learned the most from them.
Interesting. Has almost every experience been negative then?
If I just do mushrooms, yes. If I'm like perfect on my breath work before, some red light, a little bit of marijuana, then or if I'm putting it with a little bit of ketamine, then yes. If it's just mushrooms, it's like I'm gonna just feel like
A lot of self-hatred almost.
despair for a while. It's more like, what's the point of everything? I like just go to the end of the life. I'm like,
Do you have a specific playlist that you're listening to when you do that? Or
no,
is
I
it just
changed
no
it all.
music? Or
I
tried a bunch of different...
I've
Yeah.
tried it all.
Interesting.
Yeah, that's just where my mind goes.
Yeah.
Wow.
I've had some really tough, really good experiences, but in the moment, like really hard to go through. I've had one 6-gram trip, and that was like, I was trying to decide if I was going to get back together with my ex-wife. It was this big mess of back and forth. And I'd gone down to see that, like, my kids and my ex-wife, and then came back and it was a big mess. And my buddy's like, you need a trip. And I was like, yeah, I do. And he's like, do you trust me? And I'm like, yeah. Like, I'm going to make you a smoothie and I'll tell you how much was in it after your trip. And I'm like, cool. I'm okay with that. And the next day he was like, yeah, it was like 6 point something. I was like,
all right.
Yeah, well, it was needed. So it was definitely an experience. But like in that time so I have the old like sparkly ceiling, and at night when it's lit up, it looks like
shit.
It looks like galaxies.
Yeah, I know, right?
And so
That's cool.
it looks like I saw like a big old lion and the galaxies in it and stuff, and just really interesting. But most psilocybin experiences, I feel like, aren't crazy visual.
I've never gone too high on it. I mean, the most I've done is 3, and I'm just incredibly happy. I mean, I did realize I hated myself.
And a mushroom trip lasts 4 to 6 hours. I don't know.
Yeah.
And it's 45 minutes kind of start
Kicking.
feeling it.
Yeah.
I start feeling like shit from minute 45 for an hour and 15. And then it's blissful and I get to look back at it and enjoy
that's
it.
cool.
So I should preface, it's not 6 hours of hell.
Okay.
It's
Yeah.
30 minutes to an hour and a half, but it seems like forever.
Oh yeah.
And then I come out of it and then I'm open, I'm talkative, my vulnerability's down, I have great conversation. And it's also amazing if doing it to connect with other people.
Oh yeah.
Especially like I've done it with brothers and sister or sister-in-law.
And
We've done it together,
spouses.
yeah.
We've done it. And it's like, you just connect with people that you've known your entire life on a completely different level because of that vulnerability and that ego. The default mode network of the brain is
just dies.
gone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's so
Totally.
interesting because you can connect with like just the genuine human inside, but we're so disconnected from that all the time. So
Yeah, but I mean, it also, I mean, because that kind of ties into your professional, personal life, right? I mean, I can only imagine that there's this misconception that people have of you because you have a business, because you've had success, all these things. I mean, I feel like, you know, when you use like plant medicine, like I've said this to so many people and everybody's like, oh yeah, no matter where you are, if you smell that sweet smell, all of a sudden you could make a friend right away going, hey, what is that?
like, oh, that smells dank. They're like,
and they
oh,
always
it is.
go,
Do you
here
want
you
a puff?
go, right?
Like, it was
nobody-
420 and
Yeah.
I was hobbling back to the car and Jesse's carrying the box and these 2 people are sitting down by the bush lighting a pipe. And I was like, what you got over there? Like,
He just goes, here you go, man.
And I was like,
yeah, okay.
I was just in a weird spot because my head and my like leg and everything. And I'm like, yeah, fuck it. I'll take a hit. So I take a hit and then I keep going. But it was just like, it was great. Just instant community. But like,
yeah, look,
very
anywhere,
yeah.
anywhere. You instantly, like, I had this
That's
crazy
awesome.
story.
That's really cool. I've never even thought about that, but it is so true.
Totally. Look, dude, the craziest story. I met this guy from Chicago. And he's not from Chicago. He's from California. He gets placed in Chicago. He's a photographer for cannabis businesses. And so he takes Google Maps to walk to his apartment because he doesn't know where he's at. But he says, I'm going to get a big walk. I'm going to do this walk through this neighborhood. It takes him through one of the worst, most violent cities, little communities in the city of Chicago. And it's nothing but black guys. This guy is a white dude from California. And they get him, like some guys stop and they're like, what the hell are you doing here? He's like, I'm just walking through. They're like, you rocked in the whole fucking neighborhood. He pulls out his hat and pulls out a joint. He goes, an offering? And they smoked the joint and then they walked him through the neighborhood. And he met some cops. Like it's like some Demolition Man shit. You ever seen that movie? You're not a movie guy.
I haven't seen Demolition
You got to
Man.
see that. But you remember that, like, there's like the cities, like parts of the city are blocked up by the
off with
cops. And it's to keep people from coming into the other city and keep you from going in. And they were like, are you okay? And you're like, yeah, I just ran into these guys and we just hit it off. And they're like, fuck, he should be
That's
dead.
what I was knocking doors in Chicago and scared for my life.
oh, yeah.
All the time. Like, literally saw somebody get robbed right as I'm knocking the door behind me and the car screeching off and everything. if I would have just rolled around with some joints, dude.
Right? Everyone's so much happier.
Hey,
They're
man,
like, oh
sorry.
shit, what?
So there's 1,000 beautiful things of the culture that I was raised in. One of the ones that I've like, man, they did such a good job on building a culture, the Mormon religion, that I could go to any country, literally any country. I feel like I could look up the LDS.org, find a church house, find the bishop, call them, I need a place to stay tonight, and I got a place to stay anywhere in the world.
True.
And I'm like, that community is so cool, and I don't have anything even close
outside of that.
Yeah. And then I'm like, oh, that, there are other things. I thought it had to be church, and it doesn't have to be church.
No.
So anyways, that was
That's kind of crazy, really right? Cool. Because cannabis is the great uniter. I mean, I always tell people, and Brandon knows, I joke around. I say, I convert more people to cannabis than to Christ. And they go, how do you do that? And I go, well, if you want to be more like him, smoke this. And you'll get that experience. Because truly, there's nobody we've ever met. Like, we did the 420 over at Dragonfly. They invited us. They're like, hey, just come up, set up a table. We'll let you have it. And you guys can just talk with people. Mm-hmm. And it was cool in the sense it wasn't what they thought it was going to be. Definitely not.
Yeah.
But it was cool because everybody there was just close. Like, nobody's a dick when they show up with cannabis there. Like, if dudes are like, you're not smoking cannabis, dude. You're fucking doing cocaine and sleeping pills. Like, right? What the fuck is wrong with you, dude?
Like,
cocaine and sleeping pills?
Yeah. It's just like, fucking, dude. It just, whatever. But anybody using cannabis, it means immediately like, there's no division as far as like whatever state in life you were in.
Like, who cares?
Yeah, who gives a fuck?
It doesn't even matter.
Yeah,
and that's what's so cool. Like that's how our friendship built, right? Mm-hmm. And it's only been off of that. Like it's not like what's in it for me. But do you feel like sometimes
that's what the relationship is?
Yeah, with some people that you meet.
Oh yeah, and I don't care.
No, but I mean, when it first started happening, what was it like?
It's way different. Well, yeah, I started joining masterminds and crap. And then I'm like, I'm going in there because I don't know anything.
Yeah.
And I want to go learn stuff. But I'm like, but I do actually have a big business, I have 100 plus employees and we do decent. And I walk in and I felt like I was the go sell him,
Oh yeah,
marketing company, this and that. And I was just always being pitched everything, and I hated that because I hate disappointing people, slapped. and I don't like telling people no. So I'm like, oh yeah, we'll look into it. But I'm like,
so you're a pleaser.
Yes. And because I was on the other end, like. All I wanted people to just hear me out. That was my plea. Like, just hear me out, and I promise you'll buy solar because it's such a no-brainer in California. You save money, but just hear me out. So, like, I felt I owed that to everybody.
To just hear them out.
Just hear me out.
You knocked enough doors to go like, hey, I just want you to hear my pitch. And you're like,
so do you still do that to this day?
No.
So you're very for. You're just like, hey, we're good.
I'm not interested. And if it does, I'll change. I mean, I'll let you know, but it has nothing. If I'm doing that because when I knocked doors and people told me no, and I took that personally. So now if you ask me to buy something and I tell you no, or I can't tell you no, because you're going to take that personally. Either way, that's all me. That's me just reflecting.
Healthy, man. That's right? Super healthy.
That's all just reflect. So now it's like, okay, if you take that personal, and if you don't, either way, it doesn't matter to me. That's on you.
Yeah.
That's it.
You can tell them what you want, and then they can take it how they want. Like
that's a good evolution, man, because I think that's kind of hard either way, because you could live with that going, oh man, I should have talked to him, but I know just.
And that's the other sales pitch, and I use the same thing. It's like, oh, well, you don't know how much money you could be saving. I'm like, and this is my response every time, and it literally works every time, and it's 100% true. And I said, well, listen, I get 20 people trying to change, pitching me on a different software marketing company a week.
Yeah.
So you every week I'm passing up on at least 20 opportunities to save money, just so you know you're not the only one. Yeah. And they don't say anything because it's like, well,
what can they say?
Yeah.
Wait, but no, you need to listen to everybody. It's like you listen to everybody, you don't get anything done.
You have no time.
But that is my response, and that is true. It's just like it has nothing to do with you, and I know I could be making a wrong decision, and I made 20 other wrong decisions this
But
week.
you don't have time to make every right decision.
So that's just what you do. You make a shit ton of wrong decisions and a few good ones, and it goes good.
Well, and that's the thing too, man. Like even like, I don't know if I told you that story. Brandon's heard the story before, but when I was at a networking group, this guy came up to me and he's got Podium on his hat, Podium on his shirt, going down his fucking pant leg. And I asked him, I'm like, do you work for Workfront? And he goes, no, I work for Podium. And I'm like, oh, cool. And then he goes on, like, he's so excited to pitch me what he did because that's all they're taught. It's just like, just tell everybody. And he is just like almost like he's like gonna fucking jump out of his chair. He's got to tell me because all I'm like, hey man, tell me what you do when you're not being business, man. Like, let's learn about you.
So there's another one that does that. So like the kind of the ones that cost, I don't know, between $300 and $800 a month. It's kind of, okay, I'm gonna buy a pass as a company, but I'm not going to go anymore. So I'm going to send somebody else there.
Yep.
So we could see if, keep your ear out if any companies need catering. And then, so it's just some employee. I mean, a great employee, right? Not downplaying him at all, but it's like, it's an employee, right? It's not the owners. It's not the decision maker. And so they're trying to go find other owners that also sent non-decision makers. And I was the only idiot I was the only owner
that was there talking to all the decision makers.
And then I joined a different one and it was very different. It was a lot more expensive. And it is none of that. It is no Bennett with
there's
Dirty
no
Joe.
transaction.
It's here's your trips, pick 2 trips of the year. We go and it's just really, really nice trips.
Yeah.
And breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And the only thing that they facilitate is making sure that every day you sit with new people, and you go with your spouse too. So like we went to Tahoe, and then I did another fishing trip for a week in Belize, and it's like,
that's how you connect with the people.
You connect
that you
with
want
people
to know
way differently, and then it's guaranteed. Business owners doing 10 million plus or whatever it was.
Yeah,
and it was great, but it was too expensive, and I'm like,
yeah,
I'll come back to this, guys. But it was a good experience.
Well, and it teaches you, what's the importance? Is it a relationship or is it this monetary gain? And that's the problem, right? Like even that guy I was telling you, he went so hard into pitching me that, and I said, hey, can you do me a favor and take a step back? I can feel your dick on my leg. And he goes, what? And I'm like, yeah, dude. He goes, that's pretty messed up. And I'm like, so is what you just did.
Yeah.
You take a step back and be a cool guy and just say, hey, here's me as a person. I know you need to sell something, but the speed to a close is going to be the connection I make.
Yeah.
And if they're invested into me, then something maybe can happen, but don't lead with that because it's like putting your dick on their leg. Like how offensive would that be?
Yeah. Unless, here's the deal. There's two, I can see both ends because I do both ends. Right now, it's all about the relationship. But if you're knocking a door and you make $400 a pest control sell, I'm going to knock on your door. I'm not going to build a relationship with you.
Yeah, and just think about the place you're at.
But if you tell me to fuck off, I have to accept that because I know that I'm making you uncomfortable. So like for him to say that's messed up, no, it's not messed up because you didn't like that and you expressed it and that's it. There's nothing messed up about that at all. If he's going to be pitchy because he wants to sell product because that's what his mind is telling him to do or whatever reason, like that's fine. Just accept the consequences. But for actual real growth and connection and
that's not how to do it.
It's not how to do it.
Yeah.
But you can do it if it's
in different environments.
Go get some sales. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, if you're out there, it's all about your numbers and you know that. It's not like fulfillment.
Because you're knocking doors and stuff. Like
people shadowed me and solar's it's like you sit down at their kitchen table. It's a long presentation. And every time they're like, you don't ask them one thing about them. And I said, because I generally don't care. Like I'm here to sell them. They're here to buy. And I would get deals done really quick, but because it was straight to the point. Here's the pros. Here's the cons. You choose. I gave them all the information. I literally gave them our bad reviews and stuff. But that's what I focused on was the facts. And I like that because that's how I want to be sold. And that's how I sold people. And it worked really well for me. And that's, if I went back to solar, that's probably what I would do. But I do know, like, if I want to build a relationship with an investor or just a relationship just for the sake of being a relationship, which is really the goal, not for some hopeful future goal. Just very different.
Yeah. 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 I mean, you can't smoke hope, right? It's a dangerous drug.
Because I
smoking hopium.
In like the sales world, like, ask them about their daughter and this and that. And I'm like,
yeah.
if you are pitching me anything from a couch at RC Willie to solar or vacuum. I don't care about your kids. I'm never going to see you again. And me telling you about my kids also doesn't matter. Like, just go to the next house and make some more money and let me be with my family.
Yeah. It's
like,
irrelevant to the conversation of what it is. Yeah.
I just don't want to. Why fake it? And so I think a lot of salespeople fake it.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, I don't fake it. I don't care and I don't ask.
Yeah, because that's not the purpose, right? The purpose.
It's not me. I just don't feel genuine. Like, if I ask the question, how many kids do you have? That's to fill up empty, awkward space.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I'm just like, I would rather fill that up with signing the contract.
Yeah. Yeah. I'll feel more fulfilled. Just sign here. And if they're getting it, you're not thinking about after the fact going, gosh, morally, I don't know how I feel about it. I mean, I just said sell that family and now they're, financially responsible. Like, you don't fucking care. It's just like, okay, good. I did what I was set out to do and I accomplished that.
Yeah. Except for
after that, they got to figure it out.
I would feel very bad if I screwed somebody over.
No, but I'm saying like, well, of course
they're going to make that payment.
Yeah.
No, but I mean, you're not thinking about not in that sense that they're going to have something bad. Like how they feel after is their responsibility. Yes. From what I understand from what you've been talking about. Like,
yes, and that extends way more applicable now because it's way harder when you sell franchises and people open up a store and they're in it a few $100,000 and it's not going how we planned. It's not going how they planned. And there's like, I can't feel responsible for that 200 times.
But you can feel for them though, going, fuck, that sucks.
Oh yes, you could empathize, but rather than like me putting it on myself and like, oh, that was my responsibility. And it's like it was to as much as it was, but at the end of it, like they're adults, they made a decision based on the information that was 1,000% accurate. And it just didn't work out. And I'm like, well, but that's just life. That happens actually every day. We make the best decision based on the most accurate information, and it turns out to not go
sometimes
our way.
It goes great, sometimes it doesn't.
If it's my decision, it's on me. If it's your decision, it's on you. And we have to separate it like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
You really do though. Like it's tough sometimes. I have a buddy who still holds himself kind of accountable because of an investment that I made. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, I don't blame you for this. This was my decision. I was the one who, like, I hold myself accountable for it. I should have done better due diligence and checked these things. Like, I don't blame you for this.
Yeah, definitely a growth experience.
And it's funny because like that's how I am too. Because I truly believe that, things are just happening. We're making choices, but we couldn't have chosen otherwise because it's just cause and effect, domino effect. So it's like anything that ever has happened or will happen, like there was no other outcome, so why would I be mad at somebody that did what they had to do?
You think you react the best way possibly that you can in that moment with everything in life leading up to that, and there's no other way that you can show up in that moment. Like, it's the reality has already unfolded to this moment, and that's what creates from this moment on. So you can always look inward and try and from then on perfect, but there's nothing that you will ever do or change or Yes. I mean, we're going through life and people hear that and like, well, then you're not going to do anything. It's like, well, why wouldn't you do anything? Yeah. You're like, well, I'm just never going to get off the couch. Okay. Well, apparently that was just what you were never going to do.
Well, they won't, because it's like, well, why aren't you going to get off the couch today? Why do you not just sit on the couch all day, every day? Well, because I want to work. Well, why do you want to work? Because I need money. Why do you need money? Because I need a house. Why do you need a house? Because I want to, and then it finally gets to an emotion and I want to feel joy and fulfillment. Okay, so you don't sit on the couch because you want to feel joy and fulfillment. If you found out that you were no longer consciously in control, still be the same thing. You still don't want to feel like shit. Yeah. So I don't know. I think that's kind of a very weird thought to be like, oh, if we're really not in control, nobody's going to do anything. And it's like, no, it's the exact same. You would do what makes you feel good, which is what you're doing now. Yeah. But that mindset does allow you to go back and see the past, yourself and others, all actions with an infinite amount of sympathy, empathy, grace, and forgiveness. If you can conceptualize that. And then, so you said the investment, like if I made an investment, that's how I view people. So it's like, I know you just did what you did and to the best of your ability, and that's it. And I could forgive that. But for some reason, I'm still like, oh no, if I lose an investment, I have to go build another business to then go repay that investment. So I could give others grace, but I won't give it to myself in that same scenario. And
It's so hard. We are like, we say this all the time, or like on the show, is we're our harshest critics. Like we look at ourselves and we judge ourselves way differently than we would judge our kids or, or our friends or like our spouse or partner, whoever it is that we truly love and care about. And yet we look at ourselves and we're like way fucking harsh on ourselves. It's kind of ridiculous, but we don't ever treat ourselves with the same compassion and understanding often that we treat every other day, like regular everyday people.
Well, and you're talking about forgiveness, it's not as harsh. Having that humility to be able to see past that, where you're like, okay, cool. Well, I'm not the most important person. Because I can imagine, did you ever get to that point? You're like, well, yeah, fuck these poor people. Like, what's up with these guys? Like,
oh yeah, yeah.
Do you ever feel like that?
All the way up until I started doing mushrooms 2 or 3 years ago. Like,
wow.
Because it was, well, yeah, you're in shitty circumstances. We're all in shitty circumstances. Like, just figure
in
it
one
out,
way
like,
or another. Yeah.
Like, pull yourself up by your bootstraps. That was my firm belief. I didn't, but I also grew up in Happy Valley in Orem, Utah. That we were poor, but we had a nice house, a nice house in a nice neighborhood, and we lived off of food stamps and like the Bishop's storehouse at time. Because of the community, and like I never really needed anything, because of the community. So I'm like, well, that was simple, like I was poor, but I still did it. It's like, looking back, I was like, I wasn't poor. I had food every single freaking day and I was fat. I was like, I wasn't poor. Anybody would give me anything that I needed because the community was so strong.
Yeah.
And then you go to Chicago or Baltimore, and knock doors in Baltimore, and you're just like,
poverty.
This is different.
Where you go to third world countries and you see,
and then
Baltimore's like a third world country.
Oh shit. All right.
Yeah,
it's not Baltimore. But.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I've been all over this planet too. I've been into third world countries, and I'll tell you, like, it's stark difference. You're like, oh, that's
different.
And they're still smiling.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're happy.
And you're like, well, so you trace back success. And so again, this is how I got out of the mindset. You should be doing better because you should have.
This is gelato now because there was no more ground up of the Blue City Diesel.
Okay. So this
Just
is a little bit further down.
Just so you know,
yeah, I'm good.
It's a different strain.
All right. Whatever I was saying, it was,
Baltimore,
it was probably great.
Terrible interruption.
You were knocking.
Knocking doors.
You're knocking doors.
You
out
don't
there
have
in
money. If anybody asked, like, "Oh, I want money to go do that," why don't you just learn how to sell and go knock doors? I did it. Like, I was just an asshole. Asshole mentality of like, well, if I did it, anybody can do it. And there's a lot of power to that. And I still believe in that, in the fact that, like, there's nothing that somebody else is doing. I mean, almost nothing that somebody else is doing that I can't learn and figure out. Like, that is true. That's cause and
time,
effect.
effort, education, but you could do it.
Yes. But the what I didn't grasp is, like, why do I want to go knock doors? Because I like making money. Why am I driven by money? Because I have an insecurity about safety in my life and I need to build up. Why do I have that? Because of how I was brought up. Why was I brought up like that? I was in no control of it. But it's like, you go back to, like, well, it's just more willpower. Like, just do more willpower and you'll be a better person. Like, just try harder. And it's like, okay, but where does willpower come from? Why does one person have it and one person doesn't?
Where does that underlying drive that you're like, that person just seems to have it all?
And there is no place.
Yeah.
Like, there is no place. Willpower is just another thought. And if you analyze thoughts in this very moment, or just this question, do you know what you're going to think before the thought arises? Of course not. Okay. And to add, do you know what you're going to think before you consciously know,
well, that depends on if
you
you look at the thought as being coming from you or as you being the observer of the thought.
And
like, if it even originates from you.
Well, what I was getting at, though, is that question is obvious. I can't know something before it consciously. I can't consciously know something before it consciously arises. Okay, so we've established that we cannot control our thoughts. Because if I don't know what's going to happen before it comes, then that's all the evidence we ever need that thoughts just appear. Okay, well, the thought just appears, but then I can choose to dwell on it. Well, tell me how you're going to choose to dwell on something without having the thought to choose to dwell on it. Like,
well,
so now you're getting into...
It might not be the original direction, but you can choose a new thought pattern, or like think of, now I'm going to...
This is what I'm getting at. You can't.
So that was just going to happen.
That's just another thought, though.
So it's the circumstance of what's happening. So you're just reacting to what's happening.
Yeah, and I'm making choices. Like I'm not
but you can make a choice based off of that.
Yeah, I just couldn't have chosen otherwise.
Okay.
So it's like, yes, I'm making choices. I'm a independent being, not being acted on by external
factors. There's no
factors.
other choice that you could have made.
Yeah, he just handed me the lighter. I picked it up without even thinking. Like, I don't know. I could have not. Like, or why did I pick it up with my right hand instead of my left? I have no idea. No idea.
But it's just these
reactions.
things of,
It's just reactions.
What happens?
So going back to the thoughts. Okay, I have a thought.
I see that now.
I want it. I want a donut. And then the next thought is, okay, have the donut. Oh, well, you chose to. No, that was just a thought after a thought. And we already established you don't control thoughts. Second scenario, well, I want a donut. Second thought comes up and it's, but you're on a diet, so I don't eat the donut. Well, yeah, because I chose not to eat the donut. Yeah, well, yeah, you chose, but it was just another thought that you didn't control. So good job that your brain told you not to eat the donut, and you're a shitty person morally because your brain told you to eat the donut. And that's how we live a society. That's like, we morally shame people for not being as good as other people, when if anybody just sits still, asks themselves that question, can we consciously know what we're thinking before that thought consciously arises? And of course the answer is no. And that there's no like gray area. It's just a line in the sand. You don't control your thoughts. Therefore you don't control your actions. So just look at the world with freaking gratitude that there's an infinitely small chance that we had to live, and we're here. And then it's like, okay, cool.
Just be grateful.
Cool. This is
grateful.
We're freaking smoking weed right now. Like I didn't choose any of this. I just got dealt a good hand. So I'm just going to be grateful that like, this is my life right now.
Right.
That's true.
Rather than like walk around with pride and be like, I'm better than you because I like money more and I was driven more because I'm literally driven. I'm literally driven because of an insecurity for safety.
Totally.
Because I thought I wasn't going to have food some nights and then I overate. But it's like, that's what led to my success, and people are jealous of that because that's what society.
That's fucking
weird.
weird.
No one sees all the underlying roots and causes and everything.
You're jealous of my insecurities that keep me up at night and cause me to smoke weed.
Because everyone just sees everyone else's happiness or success, or what they perceive is what's going on in that person's life. And there's so much of that disconnect, and so you don't even see what's going on in that person's life.
Yeah.
And it's like, they just see, oh, well, look at Bennett Maxwell. He sold or got $1 million, and now he's got all this stuff. And look at Bennett. He just lost all this weight, and he's got hair coming in. And man, Bennett's looking so fucking dope. And like, so.
No, you just, and it's okay though. It's okay to also look at it like, I can be happy for your fortune.
Yeah.
I really can, because, it's not necessarily that I don't have, it's that I can look at that positively. And I find that the more positive and the more gratitude, the more forgiveness that we have, we actually just feel more fulfilled on things. Does it mean that we're going to be super stressed out still? Fuck yeah. Oh, absolutely. Are we still going to have bad days? Yeah. We're going to have days where we're just like, I feel like a fucking fake. I don't even know what I'm doing. I have no clue what I'm doing. I can't believe that these people trust me and give me money.
That I didn't think that,
right?
Yeah, like find somebody. I haven't asked people this, but you go find somebody who's running a business that tells you that they don't think that.
Yeah,
often, not like they thought it early stage. Like often, I just don't think people talk about it.
It wasn't even something that I really thought about until that same TV show Billions, and they had that therapist, and I'm watching these people struggle, and I'm like, oh shit. And then we had Paul Hutchinson on, and I was like, the first time he walked in, I was like, oh my gosh, he's a billionaire. I'm like, wait, it's a person who has what numbers? Who the fuck cares? That doesn't mean anything.
Yeah, you got dealt a better hand on the financial scale.
Yeah. So then I look at it, I'm like, okay, like it truly, I don't see that as being any sort of
It'd be a bit. It takes
differentiator
perspective. I mean,
anymore.
I legitimately have never given a shit about that, and it is because I like the person. If they're cool,
Yeah.
awesome. Like I want to meet them. And like when I was a kid, I met Jackie Chan in Park City in the late 90s.
That's cool.
And I met him there, and he was just cool. And I had this Native American friend, and he goes, "Man, you be big Chinese, right?" And he's like, "No, I'm Indian." And he goes, "Oh, feather, not dot."
That's funny.
And we all had a laugh, and he didn't understand why we were laughing. He was just like, because he didn't speak English, but he was just a nice guy.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, cool. It was, I don't get geeked out on celebrities or anything like that. I'm like, oh, cool. Hey, you pretend for a living. This is cool.
Yeah.
Dude, great job pretending on that last time.
I can relate to you on that one. Like not acting different around if I'm on a CNN interview or if I'm talking to somebody. Like I don't prepare for shit because I'm just like,
Yeah, you
I don't
just
want
do.
to.
you.
It's just whatever's going to come out is going to come out. I don't want to plan it and then be mad at myself if I don't go towards plan.
Right.
However, I don't like that I do this, but I 1,000% treat people differently. Like if I know somebody sold a company for $100 million, something in me, and I try to resist it, but they're like, I need to serve this person and so they could see my value. Probably to store them in my back pocket for a safety security net, coming back to what drives a lot of mine, because I want, if I need to call on, if I know 100 people worth $100 million, then, somebody's got it.
There's a lot of people.
I don't know what goes on my mind.
Insecurities though.
But 1,000%, I still do treat people differently based on that. And I don't like that I do. I'd love to change that. Working on it.
That's something you recognize.
A lot of it came from doing sales because I felt like such an asshole all the time because I jumped into from phone to consultative sales and it was a long sales cycle. So the relationship mattered. I had to build a relationship with them. I had no fucking clue and I had the worst teachers for it. These guys were the slimiest dudes ever. This one guy like palmed his card and went over to shake this guy's hand at some networking event and goes, "Hey man, we'll talk later." This motherfucker had like slicked hair too, dude. He looked like Patrick Swayze shit, right? And when he shook his hand, he dropped the card in the guy's hand and the guy just goes like he just handed him like a used rubber.
Yeah.
Full of this guy's jizz and goes, "What the fuck?" And he just drops it to the ground and I'm like, "This is my teacher?" Like the guy just looked at him like, it wasn't even like disgust. It was just like, I feel bad for you.
Yeah.
And I learned something from those instances where I'm just like, I don't want to feel like an asshole. I just don't want to feel like that because it was the worst.
Yeah.
And I went through professional sales schools that were teaching me like, say this at this time. And I did that and I got laughed at. The bigger the deals got, the more they didn't give a shit.
Oh, yes. 1,000%.
They don't care how smooth you are.
Like,
You're fucking 65
pest
page.
control is literally head nod and smile. And I can get people to head nod and smile with me. They're subliminally agreeing, and it's only $30 a month. So who gives a shit? Like you can head nod and smile somebody, and then direct TV. It's like, this is a 2-year contract, $80 a month.
Yeah.
It's not the like. I literally use this on the doors, like when I'm doing pest control. I listen to a Grant Cardone.
Grant Cardone.
The hardcore closure, the guide to hardcore. I don't know.
Yeah.
And it goes through like
the Bible.
Yes.
The closer survival
hundreds.
guide.
Yes, that's the one. Hundreds of like closes.
Yep.
And I drove to Florida. I was halfway through the summer and I wasn't halfway to my goal, but I always hit my goals. So I'm like, I need to do something. And it was an 8-hour drive. And me and my wife practiced them while we were driving all the way there, all the way back. I like had to memorize and convert it to pest control.
Oh, nice.
And one of them, like these were so silly. And I'm like, what the hell? I'm going to use them. One of them was, okay, like you treat yourself, treat yourself. You deserve pest control, blah, blah, blah. No. Oh, but your wife deserves it. Your wife deserves it. Your family deserves it. No. And then literally, I did it. I said, just do it for me. Do it for me. This helps me out and I would appreciate it. Closed
Yeah, it did. It totally works.
What? I would do those ridiculous closes
Yeah.
and people would do it. But then you get to sell a $30,000 security system and it's like, nah, much less a 10-year contract on a franchise. It's like, no, you can't head nod and smile anybody. Get rid of all of that mumbo jumbo, every
Incredible
single little
transparency.
one-liner. Chop that out
Yeah.
and just talk to them.
Yeah. Because they want the honesty, the transparency, the realness of like, hey, this is a big investment for me. I really need to know what the hell I'm getting into.
Well, and you want to be comfortable with it because that's actually when it happens, right? I mean, that exchange of money is exchanging trust and something will happen. Like you give me these little rectangles of value. Don't know why, but they are valuable and you're going to get something that I offer you. And that trust will go a long way because, I mean, you know, it's the thing that you hate the worst, like after buyer's remorse. Like I only have one instance where I really fucking hated what I bought. And it was an audiobook on network marketing because I thought, networking, marketing, okay, that makes no idea that's MLM. And as soon as it got into it, I'm like, the second chapter is how to sell your friends and family. Literally, that's the title of the chapter. I'm like, I turn it off and I put this horrible review and I'm just like, oh, I feel gross. But then that trust has always been broken right there. Like I can forgive most, even on something that goes south on a financial thing. But man, I don't want them to feel like I've duped them some way. I really don't.
That like keeps me up as well. So my, and then I discovered that this is a way better way to sell anyway. It's all about trust, right? Yeah. Sales is about the trust. And so typically it's, Kirby vacuums are the best because of XYZ and they're better than everybody else because of everything. And look at all of this. And it's great and great and great, great, great. Please sign here. And it's like, okay, well, I am not going to sign there because I'm going to Google how much this costs if I buy it online. It's probably cheaper. And then 2, I'm going to read the negative reviews. And then 3, I'm going to look at companies that review vacuums and see what they rate as the best value. Cause I don't want to spend $2,000 before I do that.
Yeah.
If that person shows up with a little pamphlet and she does that research for me, this is the second competitor. This is the third competitor. This is the fourth competitor. Fourth competitor, if you're wanting to go with the best budget item, this is going to get you 80% there for half the cost. However, if you want the Mercedes, then you could take it back. But like salespeople avoid the bad, thinking that that's helping them. But I was like, no, I have to make sure that I outlay all scenarios to protect myself from feeling bad in the future. Then I started really pitching the bad. But I'm like, here's the pro and this is the bad. And this is why people choose the pro over the bad. If you agree with that, then, we could sign. If not, that's totally cool too. But by competing against yourself, you actually build trust is really what I'm getting at.
Yeah.
And you feel better after. It's definitely the better way to sell.
Because you're not trying to hide anything. It's just full transparency of like, here's what you can get.
Yeah.
Here's what we offer and here's where it compares to.
If they have half a brain, you can't hide anything anyway, because it's like the internet exists, guys.
It's ridiculous.
Unless it's just the old ladies.
I'm the first person to pull out my phone if someone says that. I'm like, I'm Googling that. That doesn't sound real. Yeah. That sounds like ridiculous. And I'll just check it right then because I'm like, I don't think so.
It's a different day and age, definitely. I mean, even when Brandon and we sold IT services over the phone, like you felt greasy after a while because you're just selling these old ladies. They're like, I could choose between my medicine and getting my computer fixed. And then fucking but we were told like, this when you're young in it, you're just like, whatever to do to get the sale.
I'm pounding these mints, dude.
Dude, you're good. No worries.
Take it with you.
They're awesome. But it's definitely that, right? It's getting over that greasiness feel. And when you hear it, it just disturbs you.
Mm-hmm.
Like I just recently switched my pest control because the guy was just straight. He was super honest. And he's just like, look, go over there. My wife's like, all right, cool. She wheeled and dealed it. And then I came around the corner and the guy's like, yeah. And I listened to the last of it. And I was like, cool. And I said, I kind of coach people just like you. And he goes, how do you think I did? And I'm like, dude, it was awesome. I said, you sold my wife on it. I said, that's great. Because my wife she's like, no.
Yeah.
Fuck off. Like, I don't want to hear this. I'll hear them out just because I feel for them.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, if they come off real sleazy, like one kid's like, yeah, we could do all these things and of that. All right, boss, what was your email? I'm not giving you my email. Okay, blah, 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 blah. All right, boss, so what was that? What's that phone number for you? First of all, don't call me boss. And second, I'm sorry, I'm going to have to tell you to fuck off. Right. Close the door.
I had Vivint bros come knock at my house, and I'm like, I worked for Vivint. I have a million friends who work for Vivint. I don't need you coming to sell me. I know exactly what services you offer. And I kept telling, and he's like, well, we could get you. And I'm like, bro, I'm not interested at all. Like, thanks for your time, though.
It's a different world now. You can look it up. Back then, it was a lot easier to just trust, then verify. But now it's all verified,
And
then
if
I'll
it's
trust you.
Even slightly significant purchase, even if you can close them right then and there, they're going to look you up after.
Oh, yeah.
They're going to find what you were trying to hide, and then they're going to cancel. And you've been trained on how to overcome that objection, but now you can't even overcome it because she doesn't want to talk to you because she canceled because she doesn't trust you. So it's like, that's why it's like, here's all the bad. Let's get all your objections out, because guess what? I want you to hear the answers from me rather than
wherever you're going to go to the Google.
I mean, it's so much harder to switch somebody from a no to a yes than just to keep them at a yes.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Once they've canceled, to like get them to re-sign up for anything.
Oh, it's such a pain.
Very, very low percentages.
I worked in retention over at Vivint after I'd gone out and knocked doors, because my buddy was still manager of the office. And he's like, you should come knock doors again. I'm like, no, I'm good. Like, but I'll do the stuff inside on the phone. I just don't want to go knock doors.
Yeah.
And I saved so many in retention because it was like, this is all the stuff on the doors, but I'm just building relationship, talking with these people, and then like keeping them on there. And it was super easy after knocking doors.
Well, and that goes into, your personal life too, because I don't like to treat those that I make a real connection with any lesser than if they were just trying to sell me. I really want to be able to have that across the board. So I just go, man, I just want to be treated that way.
Yeah.
And if they become, super pushy and shoving their dick into my hip, I'm like, oh, okay. I have no problem going, hey, I don't do that, man. I don't do that. I'll kick you in the dick, punch you out, make you cry, right? But I mean,
if I can feel it on my hip, something's going to happen.
Jesus, it's got a shack attack coming towards you, right? But it just, building the relationship is so much more important. And that's why, like for us, it's been a catalyst for us with cannabis and almost anywhere. Like we make friends just because we smoke cannabis. Mm-hmm. And it doesn't matter who they are. Right? I mean, if you make friends with somebody, they could even be like a celebrity or whatever, pretender, or they throw a ball, and they're just like anybody else.
And not only are they just like anybody else in the fact that they're humans, they have no less down periods of their lives.
Yeah, stress, anxiety, depression than any other person.
They don't exist. Like nobody exists.
Yeah.
And you, whether we've defined it or not, I think it's like, I want to be like this person, right? You kind of have that, even if you don't set the person, but at least this, how I want to appear, will actually make sure that you narrow it down to one person. Like if I want to be the most successful business person in this category, like I'm going to go find that person and say, that's who I want to be.
Model
like.
after. Yeah.
Okay. Then go analyze their life. If they've done a documentary, they've written a book, and then you're going to realize that they have just as many problems as you. And then you're like, okay, well, did I want to be like that person because I thought that my problems were going to be solved? Yes, that's what we do. Okay, then that makes no sense. My whole life goal, I need to now go change it rather than go my entire life to achieve what I was already doing, which was problems and successes on a day-to-day basis, up and down.
That's cool. That's really cool.
Good way to look at it.
Well, and it's cool that you're at that point. Do you meet a lot that have the same mentality as you do within business?
Yeah, I think so. I think money definitely helps with it, because like on my podcast, we'll talk about legacy. And the people who have thought about it have really good answers. And when I say really good, you could tell when somebody has contemplated it, defined it, and lived by it. You just can. And then other ones, when it's like, oh, that's a good question. What do I want my legacy? And even just that, it's like, oh, well, you haven't thought about this at least in the last 6 months. You talk to people that are retired and young, and they've thought about that. If they're have a lot of money, the same amount, two people are sitting on $10 million and one person sold their company and is semi-retired and just do podcasting or whatever, something more passion project. That guy's thought about, and he knows what he wants his legacy. The other person who sold his money for the company for the exact same amount, but then immediately started the next company, probably hasn't.
That's
very
to that.
Generalized, but so in the sense that money gives you more free time to go explore that, or money to buy mushrooms or whatever it is, it does. But I think it's unfortunate that you have to get to that point, and I don't think you do. I think if you listen to me, don't trust me because oh, it's easy for you to say you did it. Don't do it with money. Just do it with any goal you've ever set that you've achieved. Look back at the highest achievement that you're the most proud of in your life. How did you feel like you were like? I remember in high school, I wanted to be all state. You know, they pick whatever the hell even that even means. I don't know. I wanted to be first team all state and waited till the morning and boom, daily first team all state. Felt great. I didn't even get one college look. You know, like it meant nothing. It meant absolutely nothing. And it just lasted for like a day. I was on the newspaper. I was in the newspaper. And I was like, that's so cool. And then wrestling. And then I was on the front pages of the sports side. So cool for a week.
It's fleeting happiness and fleeting joy that you're like, oh, I got this. And then it's like
your 15 minutes.
Dopamine or serotonin rush.
Cool.
So, and it's now it's easy to be like, to just kind of brush it off. And it is very important. Enjoy those 15 minutes. Enjoy those 2 weeks. Like, just savor it.
Soak it up. Yeah.
Soak it up. But just know that it's going to go away and that's okay.
Yeah.
Oh man.
That's perfect, man. I mean, I think that's something good for anybody to take from this is that, you know what, it's just moments. Mm-hmm. And you can look back on those moments and that's fantastic, but to be consumed by chasing something all the time, that's fucking hard.
Yeah. And for me, it looks like I'm chasing money, but really
that's never crossed my mind.
I've smoked too much. Well, I just think most people, at least how I view business people, it's like, oh, well, you know, you're just chasing more and more and more and more and more. But I'm like avoiding the moment. Like I'm avoiding the presence because it's like, well, am I happy with who I am? Am I doing what I want to do? I just want to avoid that. So let me just focus on business and the next. So like, it looks like I think it could look like that I'm trying to grab something, but I really do think it's avoidance. Like I'm avoiding the present moment. And it's like, you run your whole life avoiding the present moment to hopefully be present in your 60s. And it's like, that doesn't make any sense. Doesn't make any sense.
Yeah. Why miss the best times of your life?
And there's a balance because at the beginning, I said something about like religion and general teaching that the philosophy is if you keep these rules, these commandments, and you're happy, it's because my religion's true and you'll be rewarded in heaven. If you keep these commandments and you're not happy, that's because God's trying you and you will still be rewarded in heaven. Either way, if you do what I say, you get to go to heaven, right? Yeah. And it's all about the delayed gratification. And in large part, that's all we do every single day is delayed gratification. Taking a hit of this is unhealthy for me, but I'm not going to delay the gratification. I'm going to have it right now. But if I do it too much, then I'm going to, jeopardize my health in the future. So it's always finding that balance. But I was so much I will sacrifice anything today for a better future in 5 years. So like, even when I started making like $250,000 in a few months I didn't spend anything. We were living in a basement apartment and I would make $50 to $100,000 a month. But just for the summer. And same thing, basement apartment. Cause I'm just like hoard. Yeah. So I went excessive. That safety net. And then there's also the other thing of like, oh, I'm not even going to think about tomorrow. I'm not even going to think about where I'm going to work or how I'm going to have money, so there's definitely a balance.
Yeah.
But I geared way more towards that religious extremism, or at least that's how I interpreted it.
It's finding the yin and the yang. So
yeah, it's hard, and it's good to hear that you've got the perspective that you need to feel like not 100% fulfilled, but not like completely worthless. Like you're riding an even wave. You're just keeping it going.
Yeah, and I'm trying to figure out what the wave is.
Yeah,
that's what I love. It's like how much. Anyways, it was a big shift just to realize like I'm not after being happy all the time. That's no longer my goal. Like I just thought one day I'll solve all my problems and be happy every day. That's not my goal because that's impossible.
Yeah.
And that's new problems.
That's just such a big relief. So now when I see problems and it's like, wait, starting a business, did I think it was going to be easy? Of course not. So why am I surprised when it's hard? Yeah. Every time I'm surprised. This morning I get a text, Mark, new marketing director quit. No 2-week notice. And I'm like, well, and then I literally thought, okay, why am I surprised right now? And I was able to give myself that actual
That's
thought.
cool.
Yeah.
But the other 20 times that's going to happen today, I won't remind myself of that. And I'll just sit in anxiety.
But
Fuck,
it's that time that you do that takes away that anxiety and stress that you would have had and allows you to just be more present in this moment.
Let me drop some knowledge that I learned yesterday.
All right.
Let's hear it.
For all you weak pussy men that don't see therapists. So I'm going through, and this is a new therapist, and I like switching therapists because they
Different
have
insights.
different insights.
Yeah.
And it's okay. Well, the times that I can't immediately, anxiety arises and it's whatever, or not, let's not say anxiety, stress arises. So we don't call it anxiety at night, and it keeps you up at night because you're worrying about how to do X, Y, Z tomorrow. And what are the different techniques? And she gave me 4 super good techniques. And I was going to share them with you.
Yeah, dude, that sounds awesome.
We'd love to hear that.
Yeah,
All
for
right.
sure.
First one, mindfulness. The thought arises, and then you identify, is this, and this is pertaining to stress or anxiety. Stress, anxiety. Is it toxic or productive? And productive is defined as I can more or less quickly come up with something an actionable item that I can do, that when I do it, it
Affects
alleviates
change.
that.
Yeah.
Toxic is, it doesn't matter what I'm going to do. Or I come up with the idea and I have to wait till tomorrow because it's midnight, but that idea just keeps ruminating. So identify toxic or productive, reframe with a mindfulness. And this for me, and then she's like having me say it out loud. And I always feel weird doing that. I'm like, what do you mean? I'm reading it. But anyways, I do. So I'm noticing I'm having the thought that XYZ, whatever you're having anxiety about. I guess I'll just have to wait and see what happens or something like that. Right. But just framing it in the thought is, what if I can't open this store on time, and then all these employees and blah, blah, blah. Okay. And then just reframing it, saying, I'm noticing I'm having the thought about this. And then it's like, oh, it automatically makes you think like, that's just a thought. Like, that's all it is.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
anyways, and
that.
then the last one is grounding or redirecting to the present moment on just immediately going to your 5 senses. So like, okay, acknowledge it was a toxic, whatever. I reframed it. And then I'm immediately, if I'm washing dishes, I'm going to focus on what can I smell, touch, hear, and see.
See, feel.
And then your brain doesn't go back in that loop. Anyways, that was one of the 4. I don't need to read the other ones because that went longer than I thought.
Oh, that's cool. That's
No,
really
you're cool,
interesting.
dude, it's awesome.
But this is a plug for therapy. That's why.
That's beautiful.
Yeah, no, that's awesome.
I'm plugging it because it's so freaking helpful.
Well, and that it ties into what you do, right? I mean, for a business, for Dirty Dough, you created this cookie empire that's growing all the time. You faced adversity getting into it, which was fun.
Yeah.
It was super cool because you utilized it. You rolled with it. So many that I heard about being sued by this company, they just folded up. You're like, oh shit, sorry, we'll give in. And you just said, no, you can go fuck yourself with that sharp stick. And if you can't find one, I'll help you find it. Like, and you gave it to him, dude. And it was awesome. You stuck your guns to it. And that says a lot to who you are. And that really just keeps building upon that. Like, you don't see like, yeah, I'm at the apex of where I'm supposed to be at. I'm Axelrod. You don't see yourself that way. You see you're always improving, right?
Absolutely. And I still don't know really where the line is, because it's like you say that and I hear it, I understand it, and I appreciate it. Like, I really appreciate it. But at the same time, my view is, show me a universe that I could have done something else. Like, what did I do special? I just lived.
Yeah.
I just lived according to my wants, desires, values, education, previous environmental impact, and genetics.
It's
That's all
just
I
the
did.
reality that unfolded. Yeah.
So it's like, I am grateful that I am that person, but I'm also like, I didn't do anything to become that person. Trying to strip away the pride from it.
Interesting. Yeah.
take the ego out of it and just realize it's the situation of.
And I can imagine that. Like, I work really hard. I mean, the ego, my death and my ego, it's lasting. Like, I really don't hold that ego. I can't, because it's just gone. Right. And mushrooms do that.
That's what I was going to say. That's why I feel like I don't care to look stupid.
Yeah.
Like last time I was over here, like I was very hesitant to do a podcast while high.
Yeah.
Because I wasn't vocal about
Your consumption and stuff the same.
yeah, or psychedelics or and then even today I'm sitting on this and I'm like smoking and I'm like, oh, but there's not and then I notice there's a camera halfway through. I'm like, wait, but what does that change anything? And then I'm like, oh, well, some of the board members have said stuff about social media. And I'm just like, whatever. But it's still coming. And then I can get rid of it. But it is like, but I'm the chairman of a company. Like, one, what does that even mean? Two, should I be smoking on a podcast? And then three, well, why not? It's legal and I'm not doing anything wrong, but I'm still getting over that. I'm still definitely getting over that.
And this is part of it too, because we want those to be able to see that
and to normalize it.
Yeah,
more
it's totally, because it's not just for people who waste their lives or can't make good decisions. This has opened up a lot in our lives, in our minds, in our thoughts. And so as we are pursuing this, like that's one of the great things about bringing you here is where you've been, what's gone on, and that you're just like anybody else. So when somebody looks at it, it's to think fortunate where you're at because you were dealt the right hand. If you're in a shitty situation, that sucks.
Well, that's what I would love anybody that is in a shitty situation to understand, that there is legitimately no difference between them and I don't even want to say myself, but anybody. Like, you're not where you want to be because for whatever reason, that willpower, that when you knew you were supposed to do something, but another thought arose that you shouldn't do it, and that led to an action. Like it just is what it is. You couldn't have done otherwise. So just get rid of that shame and guilt and embarrassment for past mistakes because you couldn't have done anything else.
How you didn't show up in the moments that
it is what it is.
But it is what it is to me is, well, it's already passed, so you can't change it.
Yeah.
And I'm saying, no, let's invent a time machine. Let's go back in the past. And the circumstances are the same. Your wants are the same. Your desires are the same. Your environment's the same. Everything's the same. What's going to cause you to make a different decision? Nothing. So it's not even like it just happened. I can't change the past. Like even if you had a time machine, you can't change the past.
And it's, well, because every circumstance prior to that is already unfolded. And that's what leads to the current circumstances.
Yep.
So unless you really truly go back to the very beginning and write from square one, everything over in some possible world that you think differently, thoughts from the start, like how are you supposed to really change that anyway?
Yeah. So yesterday I had a guy on my podcast and we were focusing on partnerships. That's just where the conversation went and super intrigued by it. And, he got screwed out of a few $100,000. The first partnership, second partnership, the dude just took off with $2.5 million. I brought up this and the guy's already gone through the forgiveness and he's like, it is what it is. I don't even care. I don't even care. And we went through, it's like, okay, well, what about that guy though? So like you can sympathize with that person. What had to be going through his head to feel like he had to screw over a business partner?
Yeah.
And then I could understand that he made the decision that was best in his mind. Like he weighed out the pros and cons. He knew there were going to be consequences, but the pros outweighed those. So and that's what he did. So I could sympathize with him. I'm like, okay, there was a valid reason that I made the decision. And then you can empathize with them and do you think he feels good about that? He knows he's the guy who stole $2.5 million.
Right.
He knows he's that guy. No, that sucks. So it's like, it sucks that he made that decision. Why did he choose those pros over those cons? Why were his values different at that time? Nobody knows. He doesn't know. It just had to happen that way. And then going back and I forgot the second part, but I already said it. So I was just summarizing.
That's okay. Bro, these have been some really incredible, deep, thoughts
and honestly, man, because I just, I've heard you on other podcasts, I'm a big fan of what you're doing and I think you're an awesome person. And it's always the same shit every time. Tell us about this, your success.
I know, I'm always plugging in this philosophy,
which
like
is awesome.
I'm like sliding them in,
Yeah.
like, because if you believe this, and if you were only to believe that, you can get rid of all your shame, guilt, and
Yeah.
I'm a salesperson still. Like whatever I
yeah.
believe, I'm like,
That's what you're pushing. Yeah.
No, but that's
Well, it's like
perfect.
let me
cannabis
share
school.
it.
It's
Yeah.
like cannabis school,
Yeah, it's all. It's just being able to utilize this amazing connector.
Let me do one more plug
All right.
Let's hear it.
for psychedelics, because when I hung up the phone, like as I answered the door, that guy called me and he's like, I'm doing something with mental health and this and that, and I'm just telling you in case to get your wheels turning. I don't know, in case I can help or something in the future. And so he's telling me, and I don't really know him that well, but he's like, I've been seeing a therapist because I just saw your post or this and that, and I've been seeing a therapist about porn addiction as well as with my wife. And I'm like, one, immediate respect for that dude. I'm like, I love that you just told me that, and we've met twice. Anyways, the conversation led to psychedelics, and he's like, oh, I haven't needed psychedelics. So now I'm going to give my rebuttal to that. Nobody needs psychedelics, right? But and it's like, okay, can you achieve those states? And I'm talking to people to use a psychedelic like mushrooms
Yeah.
from the earth.
Psilocybin is huge.
No legal overdose, no toxicity. Start small, start with a half a gram, wait at least an hour. I mean, I'm not
Or
gonna
even
give
a
advice,
tenth of a gram.
but like start with very little,
microdose.
wait an hour and a half, like ease your way into it, have somebody there with experience,
Yes.
watch YouTube videos, watch how to change your mind. Don't just go do it. But all that aside, I do think everybody should do it because
I do too.
you cannot achieve those states without psychedelics. You can achieve psychedelic-like states, but they're different. I don't know what India is like because I've never been there. I can imagine it, but
You can look at pictures.
I don't know till I go there. I don't know what Indian food tastes like. I can imagine it. I can look at pictures. Maybe I can even smell it. I don't know. There's no experience you can get like on psychedelics and without them. Like you don't even know what you didn't need.
Yeah.
You
have no
like,
idea.
Truly.
And then the other thing is, oh, well, it's like, why can't you do it without it? Why can't you
achieve those states without it?
Why can't you walk around without clothes? Like, why do you use clothes as a tool to keep you warm? Like we use tools in every second of every day, and a psychedelic is a tool to reach a deeper level of consciousness. And it's like, you use a phone as a tool and your shoes as a tool, your car, your keys. Walmart is a pretty good tool that you just have to walk your ass in there and get whatever you want. Like all of these are shortcuts. Why are we going to say, let's do shortcuts on everything in life and except for finding deep meaning
in consciousness,
resolving trauma and understanding consciousness? Oh, with that one, I'm not going to use a shortcut.
There's no tools for that.
Especially not a drug that I can't overdose on it. And it's like, dude, you eat ibuprofen or Pepto-Bismol or Tylenol, and I'll be eating the same amount of mushrooms, and we'll see who dies first. Like,
oh yeah, right.
But yeah, it's so taboo. And anyways,
I do like.
I would love if
Utah's approved psilocybin and MDMA for therapy.
When did that happen?
Just recently.
Like
last couple of weeks.
Okay.
Within the last month or so.
Awesome.
Yeah, the clinic I'm working with right now is working on being one of the very first, if not the first, qualified place to be able to start.
That's sick.
That is recent
treatments.
So my parents are both LDS. They're both Mormon still, and my dad is actually considered because his new wife is in the medical field, and she's
opening up the doors to all members of a religion that think that that's bad. And the funny thing is, I don't think that the Mormon religion even says it's bad. It's just interpretation.
We had Paul on our show a year ago or so, and he took down to Jamaica.
Oh, that bishop. Yeah, I heard him talk on
many bishops. He took down
Jimmy
like
Rex's.
20 people from Utah that were in the legislature and bishoprics and stuff. And they did their first psilocybin experience. And he said they did two different types. They did one that was very, you sit on your own, it's very clinical, and he said the very first time was terrible for them. Mm-hmm. They're like, why would anyone ever do this? And then the second day was all done with the proper setting, had more of the community in that. And those were like, I think it was over 90% of them, that was the closest experience, connection, feeling to God they have ever experienced. And these are religious people who
Yeah.
go to church all the time, do all of these things.
And they're saying like it strengthened their
Connection.
faith.
Yeah.
No, I
So-
believe it built a lot of strength for my
it's that
connection.
It's
with that.
illegal. You're not supposed to do illegal things. But I look at that. I'm like, yeah, you're also not supposed to jaywalk. You're
Yeah.
not supposed to park on
You're
the
not
wrong
supposed
side of
to
the street.
speed.
You're not supposed to
You're
speed.
supposed to use your blinkers, but I see cops and all of these
You're not
people,
supposed to
everyone
shit in
doing
the
it.
middle of the
Yeah, I'm
store.
like, again, you're not going to keep all of the laws in the government, but the one that you choose is the one that could potentially change your life, and that's the one that you're going to draw the line.
Yeah.
I'm like, but I won't break that law.
Yeah.
Okay, don't break it.
Which is interesting. Yeah. And
So weird.
especially when you can see all of the research and study and benefits from like PTSD, depression, anxiety, like the benefits of psilocybin
Mm-hmm.
are massive.
Yeah.
And like people who are cured or healed from PTSD or depression, all of these things sometimes from one trip, which is crazy, but
Yeah.
more in a therapeutic sense, like you could really deal with all of these underlying
dude.
issues from
It's like that ketamine. I mean, when we
Yeah.
did ketamine together, that like the best way I could describe it is that something's gone. I don't know what it is, and I don't want it back. Like it truly just like put me in a different. It just took me from another dimension.
Yeah.
Like I was in another dimension during that time, and then when it was over, it was over. It just stopped. Like all of a sudden, I'm like, whoa.
That's so short lived. It's really cool that it's like comes on and then you're done.
That's
Doesn't screw up
crazy.
your whole night.
Yeah, it's so amazing. It was
well, and ketamine therapies are huge here too. I
Yeah.
feel like there's quite a few clinics now that do
A
ketamine
lot.
therapy.
Well,
Yeah.
now you can get it prescribed and shipped to your house from 20 different companies nationwide.
Oh wow.
Yeah,
Yeah,
because I
that's
get all the
wild.
ads for all of them,
Yeah.
which is funny because I've had it prescribed for a few months, which is way. I mean, you show up to a pharmacy and you pay $4 for a troche rather than buying it from who knows where. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I love that you can get it. It's amazing. And then also doing it at your house rather than the clinical setting is you have to go, because I did it. It's like you have to do a 6 treatment package for $2,000. And every time you have to go there, you have to have somebody sitting in the room with you. And
Yeah.
they like just put you in like this cold little dungeon, put you up on an IV, and it's like, hey, see you in an hour. Like
That sounds
that's
terrible.
that's it. Yeah.
That's their
There's
set
like-
and setting and good
Yeah,
experience.
Yes.
Well,
Like it's literally like sitting in a dental's, like not even bright lights though. Anyways,
You miss so much of like the healing like experience that
all
could
of them are
come
like
from that.
that's
no.
the one that I went to. And then I went to
Oof.
another one. And it was talk therapy before, and then the ketamine,
After.
and attention setting, and then the ketamine, and then after it was talk
Check back
therapy
in.
again.
Yeah.
So like that was awesome. And that's, I think, how it should be. But even that way, you have to have somebody to drive you there, stay with you, and then drive you back. I got 3. So like now I have to get a babysitter on top
For
of paying
hours.
$300.
Yeah.
You know, so it's amazing that the laws are changing. But yeah, you can get it at home.
That's wild. That's really cool though, because I feel like that's a better place where people can feel safer. They can set up the setting and set correctly
Mhm.
instead of like the very clinical doctor's office. Like that's not a very good, safe place that people are like, hey, I want to.
Yeah, and just the fact that you have an IV in
Yeah.
rather than something in your mouth. And then the other thing is like, again, start small. Like you get a troche and they tell you put it in your mouth. I would literally cut it into 4s and put a 4th in my mouth.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did
know,
a half.
And just feel it. And like, okay, this is what it feels like. Now I'm going to take the other 3 4s or
Well,
half, whatever.
That's like with mushrooms. Everyone who is like, oh, I want to try them, like, cool. Here's a microdose. Try a microdose. And it's 1/10 of a gram is what I give them. Because it's so small. And I'm like, this will let you see, like, you can
I wouldn't
feel
even
what it's
feel
like
that.
in there.
I did microdosing. It was 1.5.
Is that where you
one every third
started
day.
at?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Yeah, see.
0.15.
Okay, 0.15 is 1/10
Wait,
of a
what
gram.
are you saying?
0.15. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what mine were.
Okay, yeah. So that's a microdose. You were saying well, 1.5 grams is 1.5 grams. So I was like,
no.
dude,
I'll
that's
do a half a gram pretty
Yeah, yeah.
often.
Okay.
And I can feel a half gram. I don't really get into it, but
Yeah.
a half a gram, I could feel it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that makes
microdose
sense.
for me will get me on a really nice. I'm like super happy, real easy to talk to. Well, I normally am anyways, but
I'm going to need to do it again. I just didn't know the difference, but I also don't know if I was paying attention. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
yeah,
It depends on what's going on in life. I feel like sometimes, and we've talked about this last month because we've both been taking a couple microdoses, but after the first time, because it's always like we've been holding off, waiting to take it.
Yeah, I'm always nervous to take it.
And then we take it, and it's like, man, this was amazing. Why were we holding off? Why were we not doing this? We've been holding on to this weight or this energy or whatever, and now it's like you feel so much better, so much lighter. Like,
yeah, I don't feel that way with cannabis. I don't go, oh, I don't know. I don't think I should do it.
But then it's like,
I fucking smoke
we were like, okay, we feel like there should be a second microdose following up on that one within a couple days. Because that first one, it was like, man, there's been so much and it's been so long since we've done this that first one's just kind of like getting rid of that weight. And I feel like the second one would allow you to be actually more of that present and maybe work through anything that you needed to.
Right.
But yeah,
I was doing once every 3 days for a few months.
That would be good, I'm sure.
And I didn't notice a difference.
Between not using it and doing it that interesting.
Yeah. But I know lots of people that have gotten off of antidepressants and anxiety medications.
Yeah.
Which awesome.
Yeah,
so maybe I need to do it again. I don't know.
Maybe it just was the mushrooms that you were using.
I've heard microdosing LSD, but that's more for like inventing the iPhone. Like Steve Jobs.
Well, it's actually really cool. That was one of my favorite things to do with it was microdose. I don't actually really care as much for the like even a full tab of it. That experience is
you're not
fine.
getting anything done there.
But I prefer mushrooms for that one way more than I do. But I like the microdosing of LSD. I haven't done it in years and years.
Oh, it's been over 20 years for me. But when I did it, like I didn't get it wasn't an awesome, amazing, like, here's what we're going to do. No talking, no prep. It was put these sugar cubes in your mouth.
Oh, but that wasn't a microdose. That was like a heavy dose.
Yeah, I got like
many tabs of LSD.
6 hits of LSD. Like I
would have died
to the moon.
It
was pretty intense, but I mean, I'll tell you, like, out of all it wasn't as intense as psilocybin was for me at first because it's more introspective. Like for a large dose of LSD, it's just hallucinations. Like that's all it was.
It was very visual.
Oh my God. It was intense, but not like the ride I get with psilocybin. It's so much more
an emotional.
Yeah. And you can tell between the synthetic and that one. That's why ketamine was such a very positive experience.
I'm super open with my kids on everything that I take.
Yeah, me too.
Well, one, it's like if they ask me, what am I going to say? Oh, none of your business.
It's right.
Like, this is a special daddy candy.
this is a plant that you grind up, and I'm like teaching. I'm like, you grind it up right here, so it goes smaller, and then you can put it in this bowl. And then when you breathe through here, you could see the water moving. The bubbles are coming. That's filtering it, and it's pulling air through. And we know that fire needs air. It's like getting down, and then it's like, and then it goes into your lungs, and from your lungs to your bloodstream, and to your bloodstream to my brain, which helps me calm down. Like, and that's the answer. And I think that's the healthy answer. Maybe I'm a little biased, but I'm like, a 3-year-old asked me that, and I explained it to him, but on mushrooms as well, same thing, going through the process and what it does, because I do it, it was like going into mainly business settings with like 10 business owners and one guide and doing mushrooms that way. And it was more intentional in the fact that like they make you set intentions. And then you share that. But since I stopped doing that and just doing it with my family and just hanging out at night and doing that once a week, a half a gram to maybe a gram and a half, it's the best thing. And my kids love it. And it's like, and they know, because they know that I'm way more like, I feel like I'm a good dad and I feel like I'm really present, but it's just different. Like it's 1,000% different.
Yeah. Especially if you're on like half a gram to a gram and a half.
Like you're still there 100%.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
But it's a very different connection.
Yeah.
Like in those moments. That's cool though. And it really is like, and you think about it, like if these are truly medicines and that, or things that help benefit us, we don't hide our tools. We don't hide Tylenol. Why would we be ashamed of a tool that truly is like has massive value and benefit and going, hey, this tool, like we're not going to talk about this.
Yeah, that's when I was at that networking event, and this guy's like, "Man, you're real happy today." I said, "Oh, I'm on a microdose right now."
Yeah.
And he's all, "What?" I'm like, "Yeah." He goes, "You came here on mushrooms?" I'm like, "I come here on pot like every time. You don't say shit about that."
Yeah.
He's like, "Oh, well, I mean, yeah, so just let that shit go, dude. Don't worry about it." Like, what, is somebody going to show up going, "That's bad"? And they're like, "Go fuck yourself."
Yeah,
I don't
right?
care. Like, if you think it's bad, all right. I mean,
Good
that's got
on
nothing to
you,
do with
but,
me.
yeah.
That's, if you want to feel guilty for me, dude, by all means, go for it.
I'm happy as fuck over here.
I feel like I'm a
great.
high functioning psychedelic user.
Yeah.
Last week I think I did half a gram just to see what it was like that,
Yeah.
and then I took another gram and a half. So,
Oh, 2 grams. Yeah.
but it was also spaced out like an hour, so it's kind of through
It's
your
a little
system.
dilute.
Yeah, just extended it.
And then my kids want pasta, and I go upstairs and I'm like, "Well, I'm just going to get my wife to make pasta." You know? Well, I don't want to get up, so I'm telling them to go make telling them, "Hey, go get mom."
Yeah.
And then they bother me so much they want. I'm like, "Okay, finally, I will go get mom to go make you pasta." And then I go up there and she's cleaning, and I'm like, "Oh, do I want her to clean or do I want her to make pasta?" And I start laughing because I'm on mushrooms. Anyways, explain the whole situation to her. She's like, "It's your choice. Do you want me to clean or not?" Just being.
Yeah.
I'm like, "I love you." Go back downstairs. I'm making the pasta. Put it in the smallest little shitty pan, and it's overflowing. And then I don't have sauce. So now the second, the second dose of the gram and a half is hitting as I'm walking to Walmart to go get sauce, bro. And I'm crossing the street like this, just like laughing. I'm like, I can't stop laughing. So like before I get my composure, and I was like, as long as I don't talk to anybody. And I go in there, but I go in there so often because I just walk there every day with my kids. I know the workers.
Yeah.
And fucking Liz, dude, she sees it because now I don't have my hat on either. And Liz, and I'm like, I'm keep my head down. I'm not gonna talk to nobody. But when I'm checking out, Liz sees me, comes over. She's like, "Hey, how'd the transplant go?" And I'm like, "Liz, yeah, really good. I gotta go." Next day though, I went back and I told her, I was like, "I hope I didn't act too weird because I was on mushrooms." That's me and Liz at Walmart, dude.
That's cool.
We're homies.
Great.
We're
That's
homies.
super cool.
High functioning.
Oh, it hurt my cheeks. I'm
High
smiling all
functioning.
fucking time, dude.
So years and years ago, I started a business, and it had been a while of like going to networking events. We hadn't had a first sale yet, and I get a call, and it rings all of I have 3 business partners, which was a stupid decision at the beginning, but it rang everyone's phones, and I'm on 3.5 grams of mushrooms in the middle of a trip, full on set, and no one's picking up. So my phone just keeps ringing, and I was like, "Oh shit, what if this is a sale?" And I pick it up and I answer. And I talk to this dude in the middle of my trip. I close our very first sale in the middle of my mushroom trip. And it was like, and then I call them all like right after. I'm like, "Bro, what the hell?" Like, I mean, it's cool that I took it. It's probably better that I took it. But like,
Well, yeah, you're closing deals on 3 grams, man. That's some love. It's because you loved him.
yeah, I
love that client.
I truly was like,
you connected with him.
I listened and I was like, "What's going on?" And he just like opened up, and I was like, "Well, what do you need?"
Yeah.
All right. And I listened to him like, "We can do that."
And your nerves probably were 0.
We're gone. And so it was crazy. And I just truly, like, I heard more than I ever did normally. And it was just on the phone. I was like,
So you heard it first. All you have to do is do 3 grams of mushrooms, and
you
then
can
go
close
knock
any
doors.
deal. Right?
Yeah, go
Hey,
replace
if
that.
you're not going to do it for you, if you're not going to do it for your wife,
Do it for
for
me.
me. I know that voice you're talking about, right? And just Grant Cardone, right? And just over there going, "Hey, look, it's if you can't do it for them, come on, do it for me.
Do it for me.
Do it for me." I love that one. Hey, what? Just do it anyways. The do it anyways close.
do it
Do it anyways.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah, my wife wouldn't like this, sir. Sometimes
Do it
you just gotta
anyways.
do it anyways.
Oh,
Had
man.
the
you're right.
contract, dude.
Dude,
man.
like
That's fun.
Dude, it is absolute comedy gold. Go listen to
I had a lot of fun doing it
Oh, it was awesome
because I
used
held
to
my
too.
breath at the beginning, and then I thought like, life is magical. That's what I thought. I thought I was a magician. I was like, people are buying this shit. Like, but when I say buying the shit, buying the sales technique,
The stuff you're buying.
Yeah.
like pest control. Yeah, that's also shit. Don't get me wrong. Yeah, they're buying both shits.
Yeah.
I buy pest control, so maybe it's not.
I buy pest control too.
Come get that sugar ants. He told me there's sugar ants in my kitchen.
Wow.
What the fuck?
You're like, bro, no, I just dropped sugar. Those aren't ants.
No, but I mean, yeah, dude, it's one of the funniest damn things. Like, if you haven't heard the Closer Survival Guide, like it's hilarious because it did work at one time. Now, not so much. I think somebody would go, what the fuck is wrong with this guy? But it's hilarious.
Oh, a lot of people do that.
Yeah.
But some people, because
I smile when I hear it.
You know how, like, again, back to what drives me, I guess. I want to sell people because if you buy something, you like me, and I'm trying to fulfill a need for being liked, and it's a safe self-worth. That's what I think.
Yeah.
That's what I think. And that's why I think I love sales and I love closing, and I get a high from it because I'm just like, yeah, I'm doing good.
Feels good.
I have self-worth because I'm getting paid. Plus this person agreed with me. Boom. And most people I think are in my same shoes, that there's some lack of self-worth. And because of that, then there comes people pleasing, because I need this person to like me. Right. So I'm going to just say yes. It's the same thing. I want to sell you, or I just want to say yes. I want to hear you out because I need you to like me and I don't want you to feel bad. And then whatever I was going to say after that was going to come. I spent way too much time on that.
No, dude, it's
people
good.
pleasing.
It's good.
Anyways.
Yeah.
What did you say right before that, though? It was tying into your
I don't
point.
remember.
Okay, good. So it's not just me. I feel way better about myself.
No,
dude, you're
that's the
good.
whole
Thanks,
point.
bro.
It's just enjoyable.
Thanks for raising my self-worth.
No, dude, you should. I mean, nah, dude, there are no accidents. It just happens.
That's why the sales techniques work.
Yeah.
Because most people are insecure and lack that self-worth and self-love. So even though I'm a freaking stranger on the door, they want to help me, and they want to see that they are needed and that they can help me by writing a check. And that's why I can get you can get most people to just agree with you without those bullshit techniques by you just push them. They don't want to do it, but you could make people do what they don't want to do if they're insecure. That's what I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I mean,
that's why I've always been an easy sell. People knock on my door, I used to buy whatever. And now I don't feel as bad. And it's just like, no, if it doesn't make sense, let me save your time. Go to the next door.
Right.
No.
It's not always a fit. It just isn't.
Yeah. That's what I try and do. I'm like, honestly, I'm not going to buy this. You're wasting your time. I'm like, but they might be a good fit. They just bought this house. They're doing this. And they're like,
oh yeah,
okay.
dude. It was the guy who did the guy who did pest control. He's over there. He's like, yeah, we just got the Browns on there. I said, I don't know who the fuck they are.
Yeah,
and he goes,
I would use that technique all the time when people say that. I'm like, oh yeah, it's just your neighbor. Just move on. Like, that didn't work.
Yeah, it was awesome.
Brush that off, redirect, move on.
His face, dude, he was like, and I'm just looking at him like, what else you got? Right? I was just like, I don't fucking
He
care.
didn't just roll off that one.
Oh, your neighbor did it too? Did he suck your dick too? Because I mean, I've heard he does that. And you're like, come on, dude. Why are you asking me these things?
While he signed on the dotted line, bro. It was sick.
Because it works on people, dude. People are like, oh, the Joe, dude. I haven't had this thought in 10 years. I remember as a kid growing up, somebody knocked on the door, and I as a kid, they're like, oh, can you get your parents? And usually my mom's like, tell them I'm not home, like as they can hear,
Yeah, right.
And this guy said, oh, I just came over from the Tippett's house or this and that. And I was like, oh, this is important.
Yeah.
Worked on my young mind. And I was like,
cool.
Oh, no. Mom, somebody's at the door. Yeah, tell them I'm busy. No, Mom, they just came from the Tippett's. They just came from the Tippett's.
Now my high mind's like, oh, they're going, well, if it's the Tippets, I'll get my ass up.
Shit,
the
because
Tippets.
we had a Tippets in my neighborhood too, and oh shit,
he knows.
Check. Like,
he knows already. I don't know. I mean, I might have known some Tippets, but they weren't important enough to be
next door.
Like, we just talked to the Tippets. Well, fuck the Tippets because we don't like them. Like, I mean, nobody says that. Like,
that's funny.
Maybe I'm going to do that next time because I know how I am in my neighborhood. I'd be like, oh, you came from the Gills? Fuck that guy, dude. He's full of shit.
He always smells like fish anyway.
I don't like that guy anyways. Yeah.
You've met my wife, haven't you?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
At least on FaceTime.
No, I've met her in person before.
Have you met her before?
I didn't think so.
She's older than she's 36 years old, but she's tiny. She looks.
Yeah,
she will still do because a few people when they knock on our door will be like, "Are your parents home?" And so she goes with that all the time. And she's like, "Oh, they're not home."
That's awesome.
I'm like, you're 36 years
That's
old.
fantastic.
That's so
man.
awesome.
But I'm like, they're just gonna come back. Like, if it was me, I stayed in a neighborhood for a month. I'm gonna get to know even all the people that don't buy it. It's okay. But I do want to know every person's name, and that's also the difference between pest control that you go through a neighborhood in a day versus solar, and you get to know every person, because even if they already have solar. I'm tying this back into the relationships at the beginning of the conversation. Yeah. It was, oh, why do you have solar? I would knock on, I can't sell someone if they already have solar, but I will knock on the door. How long ago did you get solar? What do you like about it? What do you don't like about it? Because if you're pissed and you're the neighbors and you guys are friends and I knock on your door, you don't want solar because of Jesse's experience. But if I knock on your door and say, and actually this is how it would be used if they did it correctly. I just got over from Jesse's house and I'm sure you've noticed he has solar. Yes. I don't know if he shared this with you, but he's having a bad experience because of XYZ. The reason he got solar was he thought it was no money down, half the cost, and instant savings, whatever, and a fixed bill. But it ended up turning out to be this because they didn't tell him XYZ. What I'm doing is what Jesse originally wanted to do. Yeah. You know, but it's like,
that's smart.
That's a story, not just I came from your neighbors, but and that's a true story. And I will use that story for the entire neighborhood if I get a good story, even though they don't know where he's at. And I just say over on Fable Street, which is one street over. As long as he's with him, nobody knows who Jesse is on Fable Street. But the story is true. And if they wanted to verify me, they can. And that's an in. That's an in because I built a relationship.
That makes a lot of sense. But that's way more intentional selling than just going out going, hey, I talked to so-and-so and they just bought our shit too. So,
you know what I want to do though with the next door-to-door sales kid? And especially if I say him, like the guy who did the pest control, he did a great job. He really did. But the other kid who came over there, like I wish I would have done something like as I'm getting closer to the door going, and if I fucking see that shit again, I'm going to shoot somebody. And then open the door going, what do you want? Just like, you obviously look busy, sir. No, you got my attention. What the fuck do you want? And then laugh after going, just kidding, dude. No, I don't want it. Bye.
Dude, the like you meet people like that. When you're
just want to fuck around with you.
Oh yeah,
that's awesome.
But it's fun. At the beginning, it wasn't because this is just again sell. That was pest control to solar. I wanted to get to know, and I'm still not saying that I want to get to know you for you. It's fully selfish.
Yeah.
But I have a purpose to get to know you and how many kids you have and how long you've had solar, or if you're a renter and why your landlord hasn't gone. Because that information is useful. So I still build a relationship. But I do, like, I have to talk to every single person in the neighborhood and get to know them. So very, very, very different. And it's just, and when you have that mentality and you have a guy like that, that's joking around, you love it because you're like, oh, he just wants to chill. I just want to chill too.
Yeah. I can let down my guard.
Can I go grab a water? And the other thing is like pest control, I had to sell multiple a day to stay in the lead, you know?
Yeah.
I have to throw it on 5 accounts a day. Whereas solar, it's like, I need a deal or two a week and I'm good, you know, because you're getting paid way more.
Yeah. That makes a lot more sense.
Dude, that's awesome, man. Thank you so much, man, for coming out because this has been long overdue. But the cool thing is we're glad we didn't do it then.
Yeah.
Because it's perfect now. It's perfect timing, dude. There's no accidents. It's right where it's supposed to be.
Yeah. So for everyone at home, how do they find you? How do they listen to your show?
BennettMaxwell.com. Has links to the podcast, which is Deeper Than Dough. And it focuses on the mission of finding joy and fulfillment despite life's dirtiness. And then links to all my social media. Because I try to post a few times a day on this stuff. Business, life, philosophy, family, drugs.
Yeah, we'll have all the links over there.
Put all those in the show notes.
Yeah, and if you are close to a dirty dough, you'll know it. You got to go check it out. It's pretty awesome.
Go get some dirty-ass cookies. Yeah,
please do. And leave some comments down there. Ask us some of the questions of what we should have asked him. You know, like what's his favorite position, or what does he do when the lights are,
or what was the weirdest thing he saw in mushrooms?
Yeah, or why does he have a dungeon? You know, ask him these questions.
Why don't you have a dungeon?
That's, you know what? Thanks for joining us.
See you next week.